Today I want to share a revelation that can change your life and your soul. Something terrible is approaching our days, an unmistakable sign of the end times, but there is divine protection that few know about and that can save us. Prepare yourself for a message of urgency, hope, and prayer, because the heavens are speaking to us through clear signs and a live apparition, an appearance of Saint Michael the Archangel to the light of Mary, warning us of what is to come. We are living in times of great spiritual turmoil. The Bible tells us of signs that precede the Lord's coming, such as wars, natural disasters, a growing apostasy in the church, the rise of the Antichrist, and an unprecedented moral crisis. These signs are not coincidences. They are invitations to conversion, divine calls to vigilance. The Church teaches us that Jesus will return at the end of time, but before that we will face difficult trials. The live apparition of Saint Michael is an urgent call to strengthen our faith and spiritual resilience, as the battle between good and evil intensifies. Stories of saints and revelations from Our Lady reinforce this message. Saint Michael the Archangel, the Prince of the Heavenly Hosts, appears numerous times in the history of the Church, especially at Fatima, where we were asked to invoke his protection against the forces of evil. Revelations from Luz de Maria also describe moments of apparitions where Saint Michael warns us of the enemy's traps. These messages are not mere coincidences, but confirmation that heaven prepares us for difficult times, protecting those who remain faithful, praying, and trusting in divine mercy. Current signs, wars, pandemics, economic crises, moral collapse, point to spiritual preparation. The enemy acts surreptitiously, trying to divert our souls from the path of Christ through distractions, pride, and a culture of death. Prayer, especially the Rosary, the invocation of Saint Michael, and a sincere return to the sacraments are our most powerful spiritual weapons. We need to build walls of prayer in our homes, praying with faith and vigilance, so that our souls are not led astray by the enemy's deception. Each prayer, each offering reinforces the shield of divine protection over us and our families. And finally, I want to leave a message of hope. The victory has already been won by Christ on the cross. Even amidst the storms, the presence of Mary, our Mother, and the saints, like Saint Michael, gives us strength and courage. This is not a time for fear, but for trust in the power of the Lord. Divine protection is within reach of all who remain faithful, praying, and surrendering themselves to God's love. This is the time to awaken, to take up our mission as witnesses of Christ in this changing world. If you feel this message is for you, subscribe to the channel now. The spiritual battle demands that we be united. This is how Luz de Maria witnessed the apparition of Saint Michael the Archangel in broad daylight, with a message that echoes to this day in the heavens and in the souls of those who listen. Something terrible is approaching. But there is a protection that few know. What if I told you that this message was not just for her but for you too? Yes, because the signs are there, clear and increasingly intense. Have you ever felt lately that the world seems to be falling apart? Wars in more than 40 countries at once, earthquakes where never before occurred, a youth that knows more about trends than about prayer, empty churches and closed hearts. Does all this seem like a coincidence? Or is God in His mercy trying to awaken us? The Virgin Mary, with tears in her eyes, already warned about this. The great apostasy, the mass abandonment of faith, is happening before our eyes. And Saint Michael, Prince of the Heavenly Hosts, does not stand idly by. He warns, the Antichrist is already on earth, and he is preparing his followers. Does it sound scary? Perhaps. But this message is not meant to generate fear but to prepare us. Because there is a spiritual weapon so powerful that hell trembles at the mere mention of its name. A maternal protection that no force of darkness can penetrate. And an urgent call, one we can no longer postpone. Act now. In this video you will discover what Saint Michael revealed firsthand about the signs that are already happening around us. Why family prayer is the invisible wall the enemy cannot break down, and how you can become a fortress of light, even in the midst of the deepest darkness. But beware, this message is not for everyone. It's for those who still hunger for truth, who feel in their hearts that something greater is at stake. If that's you, don't leave. Subscribe to the channel now, because what you'll hear in the next few minutes can not only transform your life, but also ensure the salvation of your family and your soul. Many believe that prophecies are merely predictions of what will happen in the future, something distant that doesn't affect us in the present. But in truth, in the Bible, prophesying is much more than prediction. It is revealing God's will here and now to warn, convert, and protect us. Jesus himself stated in Luke 21 verse 25, "There will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on the earth distress among the nations." These words are not mere metaphors or ancient stories, but a spiritual diagnosis that points to the signs we are already experiencing. St. Paul in 2 Timothy 3 verses 1-2 also warns us, "In the last days perilous times will come. People will be lovers of themselves, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful and unholy." This description is not fiction, but an accurate depiction of the current world scenario, a divine warning that we are entering the final phase of a great purification. The Catholic Church, faithful to its tradition and the magisterium, teaches that the last times do not correspond to a specific day, but to a period of preparation, of an intense spiritual battle between good and evil. During this time, God multiplies signs. In the apparitions of Our Lady such as Fatima, Lourdes, and Guadalupe, in the messages given by saints such as Saint Faustina, Saint John Bosco or Luz de Maria, and even in the pains the world experiences such as natural disasters, wars and human crises. These signs are invitations from God for us to convert, awaken from our spiritual slumber, and prepare for the Lord's arrival. However, it is important to remember that no private revelation replaces the Bible or the Church's magisterium. They merely echo with tenderness and urgency what God has already revealed in sacred scripture. The great apostasy mentioned by St. Paul in 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3 does not refer only to the abandonment of the Church, but to an exchange of God for the world, of eternal values for relativism, of prayer for entertainment, of sacrifice for comfort. It is a spiritual desertion that distances us from God. Therefore, God sends souls like Luz de Maria, not to create panic, but to light candles in the darkness. Because our faith is not a passive stance, but a constant struggle, a daily vigilance. Prayer becomes a shield of protection, family a true sanctuary, and our surrender an act of love that combats the darkness. And know that you are not alone in this battle. The angels are active, Mary intercedes for us all, and Jesus Christ has already conquered sin and death. But he awaits our response, our prayer, our conversion. In the next few minutes, we will hear the voice of a heavenly authority, not a theologian or commentator, but Saint Michael the Archangel, the warrior of heaven, sent directly from the throne of the Holy Trinity. He will bring a message of hope and urgency that can transform your heart and your life. Prepare to hear that which changes everything, because God is speaking to us in this time of trial and mercy. In 1917, in Fatima, 3 sentient children witnessed something the world could not see: a heavenly light, a woman clothed with the sun, and a warning that echoes to this day. Our Lady appeared to them not only to speak of sin or the spreading evil, but to give them a powerful weapon against darkness. This weapon is the Rosary. With tenderness and urgency, she asked the children, and all of us, to pray the Rosary every day, saying, "Pray the Rosary to obtain peace in the world and the end of war." It was not a simple suggestion but a heavenly combat strategy. Heaven itself teaches us that prayer is a force that moves the heart of God and tears down the enemy's walls. And this message is nothing new. In 1858, in Lourdes, Our Lady appeared to Bernadette and declared, "I am the Immaculate Conception," a declaration that reaffirms her mission of purification and combat against evil. And decades later, in 1973 in Akita, Japan, she spoke again, this time with real tears, and warned, "If men do not convert, punishment will come, but those who pray will be saved." These apparitions are not coincidences or stories of the past. They are signs from heaven, reinforcing that prayer is the most effective shield against the Antichrist and all the forces of evil. And Saint Michael the Archangel, whom we saw in the apparition of Luz de Maria, also reinforces this truth when he says, "Do not lower the weapons of prayer." In the Bible, in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7, we read, "There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon was defeated." This battle has already been won in heaven, but on earth, it continues. You who follow this spiritual struggle are in the midst of this invisible war. Saint John Marie Vianney, the Cure d'Ars, said, "The devil fears 2 things, the name of Mary and the Rosary." Saint Catherine Labour, who received the miraculous medal, heard from Mary, "All who wear this medal with confidence will receive great graces." These are not ancient stories. They are signs that heaven still accompanies and strengthens us. When a family prays, the enemy loses ground. When a heart invokes Saint Michael, heavenly legions descend to defend us. Therefore, in this time of apostasy, God raises souls like Luz de Maria, not to create panic, but to remind us of what the world has forgotten: that God still speaks, that the saints still intercede, and that prayer still moves heaven. I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt that your prayer changed something invisible, yet real? Have you experienced the protection of Saint Michael or the shelter of Mary's mantle? Leave your experience in the comments. I will read each one and pray for you. Because what we are experiencing is not just a crisis, it is a divine calling. And the saints, the Virgin Mary, and the angels are at our side, ready to strengthen us. Now, more than ever, understand, why does the enemy fear a Hail Mary so much? Because it is heaven's most powerful weapon against darkness. Because when we pray, we invoke the protection of Mary, our mother and mediatrix, and awaken the power of Saint Michael, commander of the heavenly legions. Each Hail Mary is a battle won, a light that resists the darkness. It is God's love that prevails and that guarantees our final victory. Many look at wars, earthquakes, and growing apostasy and think, the world is lost. But true Christian faith reveals a different perspective. God, in His infinite mercy, is in the midst of a process of purification. The apparent chaos we experience is often the reflection of an invisible battle that we cannot see with our physical eyes. This spiritual war is taking place in the heavenly realms, where evil forces are trying to destroy what God created out of love. The souls in danger, the families that fall apart, and the negative influences that seem to dominate society are all effects of this hidden struggle, where prayer is our most powerful weapon of light. St. Paul clearly warns us, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the spiritual forces of evil. Ephesians 6 verse 12. This means that the real problem is not just political or social but spiritual. The difficulties we face are the consequence of a spiritual battle that occurs beyond our eyes. Therefore, the solution does not come from technology, wealth, or human power, as much as these resources may help in daily life. True strength lies in a heart united with Christ, in a faith that manifests itself in continual prayer. Each Hail Mary prayed with faith breaks the chains of darkness in the spiritual world. Each family rosary seals the doors of our homes against demonic influences. Each invocation to Saint Michael draws heavenly legions around us, ready to defend us from the enemy. This is not empty symbolism, but a concrete spiritual reality. Mary, the mother of Jesus, does not weep because of drama, but because she sees souls losing themselves without realizing it, ensnared by false promises of peace and seduced by a world that offers everything but God. She weeps because she knows that salvation is within reach of those who turn to her with faith and prayer. Yet there is hope. Where sin and evil seem to multiply, God's grace abounds all the more. Romans 5 verse 20. God, in His mercy, does not leave His children unarmed. He has gifted us with means of spiritual defense. The Eucharist, the real presence of Christ that strengthens us. Confession, the source of mercy that purifies us. The Rosary, Mary's weapon against darkness. And Saint Michael, our heavenly defender. Those who live in the grace of these sacraments and in daily prayer need not fear the Antichrist or the forces of evil. Because, belonging to Christ, our true protection is not in underground bunkers, but in hearts that surrender fully to God. And now, understanding this profound meaning behind the signs of the times, a practical question arises. What can we do in our daily routine to prepare ourselves spiritually? How can we transform this revelation into concrete action that strengthens our souls and our homes? In the next section, I will share 3 simple, powerful, and accessible steps for any family to build a wall of spiritual protection that hell cannot penetrate. Stay with me, for your victory begins with daily prayer and faithfulness to God's promises. You have already understood the great mystery. The world is in a spiritual war, an invisible battle that affects each of us. But the good news is that you are not unarmed. God, in His mercy, has given us powerful weapons to face this battle and emerge victorious. Now is the time to act, not with fear but with practical and confident faith. And I want to present you with 3 simple, yet extraordinarily powerful, steps that can transform your life and protect your home. First, consecrate your home to Jesus and Mary. No complicated ceremonies are necessary. Simply gather your family, or pray alone if appropriate, and say from your heart, Sacred Heart of Jesus and Immaculate Heart of Mary, I entrust this house, this family, and my life to you. Be the masters of this home. Do this once and repeat this consecration every first day of the month. This way you plant a heavenly banner on the door of your home, declaring that Christ and Mary are the guardians and protectors of that home. Second, pray the Rosary as a family. Even if it's just 1 mystery a day, this powerful prayer wards off the invisible darkness that seeks to destroy our families. If you don't have children, pray with your spouse. If you're alone, pray before an image of Our Lady. Each Hail Mary is a ray of light that penetrates the darkness, and Saint Michael sends his angels to surround your home, protecting you and your loved ones. Third, invoke Saint Michael every morning. Simply say, Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our refuge against the wickedness and snares of the devil. This prayer, taught by Pope Leo XIII after a terrifying vision of hell, has real power. Use it upon waking, before bed, or whenever you feel spiritual restlessness. Also, be sure to return to confession. Don't wait until you're ready. Go with your wounds, ask for forgiveness and mercy. Receive the Eucharist with living faith, as an intimate encounter with Christ who has conquered evil. Turn off your cell phone for 10 minutes, silence your heart, and listen to the voice of God in the silence. These actions are not mere religious tips, but spiritual weapons that the enemy fears. Those who live this way with faith and daily prayer become a fortress of light that no darkness can penetrate. If this message touched your heart like it now, this will help reach more families lost in darkness. Your like could be the signal someone needs to return to God, to begin anew a life of faith and hope. Remember, God hasn't called you to watch the battle but to win it with Him. And as you do your part, there is a profound and simple truth that can transform the way you live your faith. The victory of heaven is already ours. We just need to trust and act courageously. May you be a source of light and protection for your home, your family, and your world. Brother, sister, you haven't come this far by chance. God, in His infinite mercy, has allowed these words to reach your heart at this very moment because He has a special purpose for you. Perhaps you are tired, exhausted by life's struggles. Perhaps you have lost hope and feel like the world is collapsing around you. But listen with your heart. Christ has already won the ultimate battle. Mary is at your side as our loving mother, and Saint Michael marches before you, faithful defender and heavenly warrior. The angels of heaven have already surrounded your home and your life. You just need to not lower your weapons of prayer, to remain steadfast in faith. What seems like chaos is actually divine purification. What seems like darkness is the setting where God's light shines most brightly. You were not made just to survive hardships, but to bear witness to God's glory. To be salt and light, even when everything around you seems to deny Christ's presence. And know that what most comforts the heart of Mary is not perfection, but the sincere effort of a heart that tries, that falls, but rises and prays again. So do not be discouraged. If you prayed just one Our Father today, know that it was enough to move heaven on your behalf. If you wept before the blessed sacrament, He counted every tear, every sigh of faith. You are loved, protected, and chosen by God even in your frailty. And this battle we face? It is not yours, it is His. You only need to walk with Jesus, one step of faith at a time. Carry this image with you, you on your knees praying the rosary. Around you, angels in armor of light ready to fight for you. Over your head, the blue mantle of Mary, protector and compassionate. And within your heart, the beating of the heart of Jesus, full of mercy and love. No force of darkness can penetrate this shield of prayer, faith, and surrender. If you wish to support this mission of bringing messages of warning, hope, and conversion to millions of souls thirsting for God, consider using Super Thanks here on YouTube. Your help is essential for this message to reach even more hearts. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, subscribe now. The next warnings will be even more urgent, more necessary. You need to be prepared, strengthened in faith. Together, we are the light the world so desperately needs. Every prayer, every act of faith, is a flame that illuminates the darkness. See you soon, soldier of faith. Heaven is counting on you in this final battle because with God, victory has already been won. Don't give up, don't surrender. Stay strong because hope never dies when we trust in God's love. May the Lord bless and strengthen you today and always.